Hey, thanks for coming. Thank you, particularly you. I've been opening the West End for 6 weeks
Oh right,
now.
there you go. There's me not having any time to prepare for this. So
It's
which
all
theatre you
right.
want at?
It's the Duke Ghost Stories
Yeah.
is the show at the Duke of York's Theatre in the West End, the jewel in the West End's crown, so I'm told.
And this is a show that you've written,
I've co-written it with my oldest friend, Jeremy Dyson, of the
who
League of
was
Fame.
League of Gentlemen. Yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other since best friends since we were 15. He was my best man. I didn't get married at
Right.
15, but we met at 15. And so we both wrote it and we both directed it along with one other director, and I star in it. Well, I think the first secret is I don't really perceive success.
Right. So if I asked you to define success, you wouldn't.
Being happy.
You're right.
That to me is the ultimate goal.
Great
and I
definition.
think that's the biggest secret, is that people. What sort of language am I allowed to
You
use?
can use any language you like, Andy. Yeah, I'm not bothered really.
So I think that's where people fuck up,
Right.
because it's just about, oh no, if I could get on telly, that's my goal. If I could get my own cruise ship act, that's it. Oh no, if I could be Blaine, if I could be the next Blaine. It's just absolutely the wrong way, because anyone who's ever achieved any of their goals will know that the minute you've achieved a goal, it doesn't really feel like a goal. You don't look at it and think, it's amazing, how brilliant, aren't I clever?
Yeah.
You see are all the things that aren't working the way you wanted them to work, all the mistakes, and the fact actually this goal isn't really worth having because it's not what I thought it was. What about that? Well, what I should do is next I should aim for that. It's a never-ending thing, I have never, ever, ever perceived myself as a magician, ever. The magic was just a hobby.
Yeah.
In my head, I grew up of that generation that wanted to be De Niro or Pacino or one of those guys. So for me, it was absolutely about the acting. It was always tunnel vision for me, and I knew that's what I wanted. So to refer back to what you were saying with the Derren stuff, I was offered the mind reading special on Channel 4 before Derren. They wanted me to do it and were very pushy.
I wasn't sure I was allowed to say that or not, so
no, of course you can. It's public. It's sort of public knowledge. And I turned it down. I had absolutely no interest in doing it, because I knew it wouldn't make me happy.
Yeah. And you don't look back on it and go, oh,
not for one.
Fantastic.
And that's nothing to do with achieving my own things. It's not now I can look back and think, well, I'm in a play on the West End. I was right to do that. I've been worked with Derren for a decade, and not for one moment, not for 1 second of that have I ever thought, oh, I really screwed up. I should have taken that. Right. I should have taken it. It's not what I wanted to be. I don't want to be a magician. I didn't want to. It's no judgment on magicians.
No.
Doing magic as a living, but it's not what I wanted. I knew it would not make me happy.
And I sort of remember that from when we first met. I mean, which has got to be 20 years ago when we were doing sort of, as I say, there was the Marvin's thing. That was sort of how I was introduced to you.
Yeah.
And I'd trained as an actor as well. I'd done the whole drama thing, but I remember when I was at drama school, there was always this thing. There was always the people who wanted to act, but then there was a group of people who needed to act. And I always perceived you as someone who needed to act. That was kind of, that was everything. That was kind of, someone could offer you a £2,000 corporate gig, but then if an acting job to do Shakespeare around the corner for 50 quid and a cheese sandwich came along, you'd have dropped the corporate and gone and done the Shakespeare.
Absolutely. And that was always about as well. That's where magic, and don't get me wrong, I adore magic and I'm very passionate about it, and it's been a huge part of my life. But it was enabling for me. It was about, what I'll do is I'll do lots of gigs and I'll charge proper money. Never undercut. I always set what I thought was a decent wage and earned decent money off it, because I thought, great, what I'll do is I'll stockpile money. It's what's known as the fuck you fund.
Right.
So that I would have money, so that when I got an acting job that paid nothing, but I thought it's really important that I do that, get another job, and someone would offer you a £2,000 corporate, you could think, fuck you, I've got money, I'm all right, I'll go and do the money for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's a very enabling thing to do. The trap is not to get sucked into that, because suddenly you think, God, I'm earning decent money. This is really good.
Oh.
I'm also lucky because my wife, Soph, and my kids both are of the same sort of mindset, or all of the same sort of mindset. So my wife's always been incredibly supportive and incredibly No, it won't make you happy. Don't do that. She thinks the same way about stuff. So I'm lucky. I haven't got someone at home going, you turned down what?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
much did they offer you?
yeah.
Well, what about, don't you want to, she's always shared the faith, which is, oh, we'll be fine. Doesn't matter. And if we're not fine, we'll be
Do
happy.
you think it's that sort of soul, that kind of mindset of pure focusing on one outcome? Because was there never a plan B then?
Well, no, there was never a plan B, but the plan B is, but you've only got one life.
Yeah.
There isn't plan.
No, but I mean, so was magic kind of the plan B? That was your...
No, magic was, God, what a great hobby. I love this. This is amazing. And then I couldn't believe it. It was, actually, I could earn some money from this as opposed to driving lorries.
Yeah.
Or this theatre where we're doing ghost stories, the Duke of York's, is the only theatre I ever worked in the box office. 20 years ago,
Right.
I had keys to this theatre. I used to open up and sit in that box office. I worked here for 9 months. So I was doing box office work, and I was driving vans and lorries and doing deliveries and stuff, which I did not want to do. And then I worked at Marvin's, and that felt better than that. And then I suddenly realised, Jesus, I could earn in an hour what I'm earning all week schlepping lorries. Well, that's a no-brainer. And then suddenly, and also, I'd grown up, when I was a kid, I had little magic sets and bits and bobs, and I was fascinated by it, but I never did it. So I suddenly loved it. And it's been fantastic. It's been wonderful. I mean, I always hesitate to use the word luck as well, because I am a great believer in the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
I'm a great believer in that adage. And, I did an interview recently about the show, and the woman who had seen the show and loved it and had seen me in other stuff. And, she said, it's really fascinating because I'm repeating her, I'm not blowing my own trumpet. And she said, it's really interesting because you're one of those actors who you're not famous, but everything you do is really good. Your work's always really admired, and you're very lucky like that. You've had it quite easy. And I just laughed and said, you're kidding. I've been doing this. I've been out of drama school 25 years.
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah, it's kind of the old, and you're an overnight success.
It's hilarious.
I have to say that you were instrumental in me becoming a professional magician, and when I met you, because I tell you how it was. Is I came to your flat once. This was many years ago. First thing happened is you showed me. I think you showed me 3 tricks, and you fooled the shit out of me with all 3 tricks. Which kind of, so first of all, it made me realise that I knew nothing, and I was very green behind it. I didn't really know. I knew Marvin's magic sets. I was selling magic at the time, and you showed me 3 tricks that came from professional books. They were professional tricks, and you fooled the shit out of me. And I just remember thinking, right, that's it. I've got. I remember the tricks you showed me, Andy. You showed me a Jay Sankey one with the paperclip and the folded card.
Brilliant.
Which doesn't have a name, so I can't tell you what the name is.
Anyway,
and you showed me cutting the 4 aces, which I still use to this day.
It's fantastic.
Great trick, and I can't remember what the third one was.
I'll bet the third one was David Regal's. Not Star Quality. It's from Star Quality. It's the one, the Stranger card one in that, where it's the one read back in the blue deck in your hand.
Yeah, it was something, but I just remember. So first of all, you made me realise that magic could be extremely powerful in the sense, because you did literally. I just kind of remember sitting back on the tube thinking, right, that's it now. I've got to put some work in. But the other thing you did is about 6 months following that, I rang you. I think I was talking to you, and I was asking your advice about fees. And you gave me one of the best bits of advice that anybody has ever given me as a professional magician or as a professional performer of any kind. And the advice was, write down what your fees are on a bit of paper, stick them next to your phone, and when somebody rings you up, don't think about it, turn around, look at what your fees are, and tell them what your fees are. And the reason that's so important, I think, is because it just shows that you have to be very definite about what you're worth and about your value, and you have to know your own value.
Express company, this is your half-hour call. You have 30 minutes, please.
Right, so you have 30 minutes, so we'll be quick.
Right,
so it is that that's something you've always had. You've always had a complete understanding of your value.
Yeah.
And because if you don't have that, how the hell can you sell that to other people? How can you expect other people to take that? So I mean, where does that come from with you? Where does this were you raised to be very entrepreneurial and very sort of focused,
no. My dad was a dentist. My mum's a housewife. What they both are, my dad in particular, they were both. And my mum's still alive. My dad's dead. but they're from Leeds. They're very northern, and there's a great direct honesty that comes with that.
Yeah.
But I've always loved showmanship, and I've always loved I often think if I hadn't have got into magic when I was about 12, there was a robbery that happened in Leicester that I just thought was amazing. These guys went into this massive shop in the middle of the day, and they parked a van outside, and they went in with white coats on and clipboards. They loaded up all the fridge freezers, all the televisions, everything else. The shop is full. They ticked everything off, got someone to sign it, and off they went. And I remember reading that and thinking, I want to do that for a living.
So it was a close call, Andy.
There was the chutzpah of it that I just thought, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that sort of that thinking sort of married into magic, but there's also something about that marries into sideshow, to hustling, to grabbing an audience, which is, if you look at the way that Ghost Stories is marketed, it's absolutely that through and through. It's absolutely circus sideshow, But in terms of that directness, I think I'm very, very pragmatic. So I just think most of it has come from. Are you still getting me okay? Because you seem to have frozen. Are you still getting me?
I'm just very attentive.
Oh, you got me.
I've got you. You're all right. Yeah, you're okay.
I can't hear you, but I'm going to keep talking.
Yeah, you keep talking because I'm recording. Can you hear me?
All right. One of the things, a lot of the stuff that I do is born out of embarrassment. So I'll have someone phone up for a fee, and I'll stumble and bluff and feel embarrassed that I've got to ask, and then think, I never want that to happen again. Right. That was horrendous. Write it down and just be confident, and you don't have to do that. So rather than dreading the next time the phone rings and someone says, we've got a gig, how much is it?
Yeah.
Then I could just go, well, it's £1,000 for half an hour. It was never that. I'm just making up fee. Or if you want 2 hours, it's £1,500.
Right.
And then on top of that, it's X if you whatever it was.
Yeah.
But rather than go through that embarrassment again, I would learn from it and think, right, that's it. Which is what my entire act was about, and what my book's coming out at some point. All of the material that I've created is all material that can't, please God, that can't screw up over silly things, because I'm so embarrassed if it does.
Okay.
I don't want it to happen, so I'll construct things that are bulletproof, that feel like, okay, that can't fail. That's good. I've looked at every angle. There's something about, not that I don't like myself, but there's something about the game of losing yourself in a completely different person. And it's like the biggest magic trick of all. If you can convince people that you're somebody else, it's fantastic. Something, when I play this parapsychologist, this professor of parapsychology in the show, and one of the greatest compliments is often I'll get people say to me, I can't believe you're not actually, so you're not actually a scientist. And that to me is just incredible.
Yeah.
That's like the greatest magic trick to me. You've made them believe you're something else.
Because almost to an extent you've managed to achieve that with the Derren things as well, haven't you? Because there's a large portion of the population that believe Derren is psychic.
Are you saying he's not?
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying. But what I'm saying is that there's that part of the theatre and the drama that's very clear in that. I mean, in the sense that you've taken it that step further.
Yeah.
And that's the actor, that's the theatre part that a lot of mentalists are missing, isn't it? Is this sort of...
Well, the joy is that they believe he's psychic or whatever, despite the fact you're constantly telling them, look, I'm not that. That's not what I am.
Yeah.
I love that. My act, my mental act was always, one question you need to ask yourselves: genuine mind reader or charlatan? You decide.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that duality of saying. And if you see the play does that all the time.
Really?
It says, look, isn't this scary? Look, we know that's not scary because it's this, in effect, is all that it. I love that. To me, is about crediting the audience with intelligence.
Yeah.
It's about saying they're either, when you do a close-up gig and you walk away from the table and you fool them with coin in bottle, they're not going to say, well, is it a folding coin or something? Is it a special, maybe it's a special bottle. Or is it a folding coin? I bet it must be, but I didn't see him switch it, did you? No. They're not going to have that, or not going to work that out.
Yeah.
So why not construct a presentation that says, when I walk away from this table, I don't want you to say, I bet it's a foldy coin.
Right, yeah.
So look, sign your coin. Okay? Great, give me that. I don't want you to say it's a special bottle. Have a look at the bottle.
Yeah.
There are no holes or anything.
So it's kind of approach the objections before the actual presentation, as it were. Sort of deal with the objections first and get them out of the way.